Okay. Hello guys, kindly check this application out. Let's start the ActiveLink using React Router DOM. You can check it guys. So cool. So that is that guys. If you want to type along with me, kindly install 1. npm install React Router DOM and 2. npm install React Icons. With all said and done, let's begin. Thank you very much. Let's begin by creating 4 folders in our SLC folder. Call the first one assets. And call the second one components. And call the third one data. And call the fourth one pages. Good. Now let's take the first one, assets. Now with assets, we have no spinners or images in this application, so we leave it blank. Move to the second one, components. Components, let's create a file and call it main page .js. Next, let's create another file and call it navbar.js. And the last one, we call it navpage.js. So that is that. Let's take the first one, main page. Now with the main page, we say array-fce. Good. Now instead of ordinary div, why don't you make it React.fragment? Good. So inside that we have a section and a div to say hello. Let's link to the app.js to view on the screen. So we go to app.js and we call the main page. Okay, let's import main page. Import main page from components and main page. Now let's check our screen if we got hello on the screen. You can see guys, we got hello on the screen, means we're ready to go. Let's position everything since it's mobile first. Good. Now we can close the app.js and we're ready to go. Good. Now next thing to do is to take the hello off. Then inside that we need a navbar. Okay, so how do we get a navbar? Let's go to the navbar and create a navbar and say array-fce. Instead of ordinary div, why don't we give it React.fragment? So over here we create another div, give it a section and say hello. So this is the navbar. Let's link the navbar to the main page. Okay, so we go to the main page, then over here we can link the navbar. So I can say nav section. Good. Then I give it a div. So inside that, let's call the nav. So we say navbar. Let's import navbar. Yeah. To import navbar from navbar, we have hello on the screen. So our navbar is also working. Now what we're going to do next is to what? Now we need the nav data. Okay, so we can populate the navbar. So let's go to the nav data. So we go to our data column, then we create a file and call it nav data. Good. So inside that we can have export const nav data. So inside that we need to give our data. So let's give our first data. Good. So our first data, we say title, give it home, path, give it the slash, then the icon, we call the icon. Now let's import the icon. Good. So we say import all as FA icons from React Icons FA. So that is that for the icons. So now we're going to repeat this 4 more times to give us our full data. So that is that guys. We have about the same thing, then we have services, the same thing, we have contact, the same thing. So that is that with the data. So our data is ready. Now we're going to import the data at the navbar. Okay, so let's do that. Go to navbar and import our data. Good. So over here we say import nav data from where? From the data folder and the nav data. So that is that our nav data is ready. So now let's call the data inside the section. Let's take the hello off, and inside that let's create a class name. Good. Inside the class name, let's give width, let's give the BG color. BG, we can give it gray for now. Then let's give it width full text to Excel and height 20. So that is that. So inside that, okay, good. So inside that, let's create GSS. Sorry, GSS. Good. So we have our map. Let's call it data. We say nav data dot map. Good, into bracket. So that is that. So inside that we can say you call the item comma index to give us a function. Okay, so inside this function that should return what? Return a div. Good. That will give us a key equals what? The index. So that is that. Let's try it out. The item the title, you can see we got item the title working, so it's working. So to continue, let's take it off again, and now create a div. But now inside this div, let's create a span tag. Good. Then we put the item the title inside. Good. Let's do likewise for the icon too. So do that and say, good. Let's change it to what? Icon. Let's check it out. You can see, guys. Now next thing to do, we need to divide it among the pages. So I prefer to use grid so that we can have equal parts. Okay, so we go to the apparent div over here, then call grid, and we say grid calls 4. You can see, guys, they are spread inside the nav bar. So over here we can have item center. So we say items center. Good. So what next? Now let's create a center class so that it can center them well. So to do that, let's go to our app.css. Then create a second class. Display flex, justify, contain center, align item center. So we're going to call this center class inside the navbar. Close this time. And so let's say it's complaining. Okay, no complaint. Yeah. Good. Now let's center this. So in the apparent div we can say class name center. Okay, let's call flex call flex call. Go back. So that is that. I think everything looks cool now. So that is that, guys. Let's add text gray 500 and uppercase 500. Okay, so we can even make our text the BG. Let's make it white now. Yeah, you can see, guys. So what we're going to do now is to get our pages ready. Okay, so to do that, let's go back to our pages section. Okay, let's go to the pages. Close this, and pages section, and create all the pages. So let's create the first one. The first one is going to be what? Home. Use the home.js. So inside that RAFCE, instead of ordinary div, let's give it React fragment. So inside that we have our width, full, height, screen, and center, and text 6 Excel. That is that for the home page. Now let's create the next one, which is going to be the about page. So we say about.js, RAFCE. So likewise, we give it a width full, then we change it to about page. The next one, services. RAFCE, and we paste it there and change it to services. Next one, contact. JS, RAFCE, paste it there and change it to contact. So that is that. Our pages are ready. Now what do we do with the pages? We need to get the pages in the page and the component. We have the nav page. Okay, so the nav page, let's import all the pages. So in our nav page, let's call RAFCE. Instead of ordinary div, let's give it React fragment. Inside that we say hello. Now let's link this nav page to the main page. Okay, so we go to the main page, then call the nav page. So we say nav page, the section. Okay, so we create a div, then over here we call the nav page. Okay, let's import nav page. Good, so we say import nav page from nav page. So that is that. Let's check it out. We got hello on the screen. Okay, you can see, guys, we got hello on the screen. So meaning our nav page is working. So now let's continue with the nav page. Close the data. The home, we close you. Close the nav page. So to begin the nav page, let's import routes and route from React router done. So let's link the routes. So over here we say routes. Yes, good. So inside the routes, we can now have the route. Good. So that is that for the route. Now let's call the first route, which is the home. Good. So we call the route, then give it the path, then we call the element and call the home. Now let's do likewise for the rest of the pages. Good. So we do likewise for services, contact, and about. So that is that. Let's import all of them. Go up. Good. Now we import all of them. So next thing to do now is to call the browser router at the app.js. Okay. Now we go to the app.js. Where is the app.js? Good. Now we need to call the browser router here and make it bigger. It's good. So we say import browser router from React router done. Now let's connect the browser router to the main page. Okay, so inside that we call browser router. Good. So inside that we can add the main page. Cut it from here and put it there. So that is that. Our browser router is also ready. So what do we do next? Let's check it out. Let's increase the screen and say, so when we say slash about, good, we go to the about page. You can see, guys. So likewise, when we go to services, good, services page. Let's try the next one, contact. Yeah, on the contact page. So meaning our links are working. So now what we need to do is to create the click event to, so that it will go to their various pages when clicked on the nav bar. So let's do that. Go to the nav, what's the name, the nav bar, yeah, the nav bar. Then import the NavLink. So we say import NavLink from React or DOM. So that is that. Now let's add the NavLink. So to add the NavLink, good, we take the first one. So inside here we can say NavLink, good. Oh, sorry. Okay, our NavLink is ready. Let's copy the span and put it inside there. Let's cut the span and put it in the NavLink. That is that. And then now NavLink says to what? 2 equals what? Item dot path. Yeah, that is our data. Okay, so that is that. Let's check it out. When we click about, if you see the about page, you can see, guys, wow, so cool. Good. After the NavLink, you can see our this thing has changed. What's the name here? Our nav item has distorted, so let's work on that. We can give it the span a class name, and call it Senate. Good. Let's call the second one too. I think that's okay. So that is that. What else? Now let's style the activeLink. Okay. So to start the activeLink, let's go to up there. Good. Now inside that, let's create an active class. So we say const activeLink should give us a border, bottom for px for border blue, text blue, and font bold. Okay. Then we have the second class, which is the const normal link. We make it empty. So now let's create a condition for the class name, then call them accordingly. So we go back to the NavLink again. Then inside that, we can have the class name. Good. So we say class name, when it's active, give it the active link, otherwise give it the normal link. So that is that. Let's check it out. You can see, guys. So that is that. Our app is working. So now lastly, let's do a responsiveness. Then we say cheers. So to do the responsiveness, let's go to the main page. Okay, the main page. Over here we have the appearance div over here, so we can give that div a class. Good. So we say at medium screen, give it width to fit, and at the same medium screen, give it MX auto. So let's check it out. You can see, guys, it's working. So that is that. Thank you so much for sticking to. Catch you in the next one. Please don't forget to do good. Say peace.